Cultural rot is at an all-time high, and where there's really no shortage of it is in corporate America. So yeah, there were more layoffs this week. I'm going to cover the layoffs. Candidly, it's kind of boring and we all kind of know what to expect. But I'll tell you what really hit me in sort of alignment with the cultural rot that's been on my mind this week is, you know what? Where did all of our good leaders in corporate America go? I remember I've been working for 40 years, and I'm sure you guys remember this too, where I had leaders who inspired me, who motivated me, who were smart, who were exciting. It was great to work for those people. And you know what? We don't have those kind of leaders anymore. Or where are they? The leaders that we have right now are either greedy, or they're just super cringe, or they don't have a whole lot of substance and depth going on inside of them. So this is today's video. The approach is going to be taking a look at these leaders, these loser leaders that have been on my mind this week, that are probably on your mind too. And you can consider this a chapter in the cultural rot book of America. Okay. So let's get started. Anyway, yeah, really, honestly, I remember a time when I just worked for great people. I can count. Really, it's been quite a long time since I've had that happen. And one of the things I want to get started with today is everybody's talking about AI. We'll get to Meta in a minute. Yes, there were more layoffs with Meta. I've got a particular point of view on that one. But what I want to do is, again, we're going to look at who the leaders are. So AI is supposed to be changing our world. We're all going to lose our jobs. You're going to have a robot as a friend, blah, blah, blah. We know what's going on with AI. Who is the leader, arguably, of AI right now? I think everybody would probably agree that OpenAI, that is ChatGPT, is winning the race. Well, fine. So let's take a look at Sam Altman. Sam Altman recently did an interview with Tucker Carlson, and I think that there was something very alarming in that interview. And so we're going to take a look at this clip, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about it, and we'll see if you pick up the same thing I picked up in this particular clip of Sam Altman. So in this video, Tucker asked Sam Altman about God, and let's hear what he has to say.
Spiritual views.
I'm Jewish. And I would say I have like a fairly traditional view of the world that way.
So you're religious. You believe in God?
I'm not like a literal, I'm not like a literalist on the Bible, but I'm not someone who says like I'm culturally Jewish. Like if you ask me, I would just say I'm Jewish.
Okay, we're going to stop there for a minute. So I know that if you're to ask me, ask Tucker, ask you, ask most of us, do you believe in God? We wouldn't pause and like contemplate it, okay? That's alarming to me that this person has got so much power, yet he doesn't have a whole lot of faith of any kind of value set, any belief in anything on. But it goes on. We'll keep going.
But do you believe in God? Like, do you believe that there is a force larger than people, that created the earth, set down a specific order for living, that there's an absolute morality attached that comes from that God?
I think probably like most other people, I'm somewhat confused on this, but I believe there is something bigger going on than, can be explained by physics, yes.
So you think the earth and the people were created by something? It wasn't just like a spontaneous accident?
Keep watching.
Would I say that? It does not feel like a spontaneous accident, yeah. I don't think I have the answer. I don't think I know like exactly what happened, but I think there is a mystery beyond my comprehension here going on.
Have you ever felt communication from that force, or from any force beyond people, beyond the material?
No, not really.
Yeah, okay. So that is, pretty big signal, in my opinion. That's very alarming to me. This is a leader. This is a corporate leader who struggles to answer. Newsflash, Sam Altman. No, we're not. Most of us are not that confused. Most of us, when we are asked about God, our faith, do we believe in it? I absolutely do. I grew up with a faith or this or that, and we can speak to it instantly without thinking about it. The fact that this guy has never felt any kind of presence or communication or anything from a higher power, the Holy Spirit, a faith, is cultural rot. I mean, this is who is leading one of the biggest companies and the most potentially consequential companies in modern or mankind's history. I guess a lot of us would put it at that level. I don't know that I would, but seriously, obviously a pretty big name in the AI space. So that is one glimpse on a leader in corporate America today that gives me serious pause. There's others in the AI space, so I'm not going to just, signal out Sam Altman. And by the way, you guys might want to go and listen to the rest of that interview because Tucker gets pretty much in his face about the whistleblower who was unalived, I guess is the YouTube word. And that gets pretty interesting in Sam Altman's reaction. You may have seen it, you may not have seen it, but that's not the approach for today's video. Today's video is about our leaders and their really mediocrity. And leaders of yesterday, we used to have strong leaders, and these are the leaders we have now. Now, let's move on to Meta. Yes, Meta did lay off 600 people this week in their AI division. Number one, it's pretty puzzling that they're doing this. I mean, why are they doing this? Okay, that's the first thing. They're not winning the AI race. Would obviously be a conclusion, a reasonable conclusion to come to. But there's another approach, another point of view that I would like to share with everybody, bring it up for discussion in today's video. Okay, so this guy, Matt Gale, he has a really interesting kind of take on this. Meta just announced it's cutting 600 jobs in its Meta Superintelligence Labs division. Meta didn't have to do this. They posted $62 billion in net profits in 2024. Okay, they're swimming in cash. A lot of us know this. This is not a surprise to a lot of this. But again, our leaders, this is greed. This is greed over people. There, 600 people, he could float 600 people in his personal checkbook, but it really disrupts people's lives. And there's really no other reason to do this other than corporate greed and probably personal greed too. Okay. It should be, as Matt points out, the last resort for companies. Okay. I'm going to switch to a topic, but stick with me here because I do have an example of what our leaders used to be like. And Gen X, you're going to remember this guy when I bring him up next. But I want to point out one more thing about Meta and Zuckerberg and how it should be the last resort for him. So many of us are not surprised because we are smart and we know what's going on, but their stock pushed higher even this week. On Thursday, the stock pushed higher. Now, the stock market pushed higher a lot because of the negotiations between Trump and Xi. And so by and large, the stock market did better. So, maybe you could take that as Meta, or being just riding that wave or what have you. But it doesn't matter. We've all seen it. We've all seen layoffs happen and then their stock prices go up. Again, in my thumbnail, greed over people. That's what this is. But the reason I made this video, and one of the reasons why I really felt such angst this week is because, again, like everything else, there's a degradation in our society. There's a degradation in our businesses. There's a degradation with just things across the board. And I do remember when I had wonderful leaders, and those days seem so far away. I recently came across somebody and potentially having, the opportunity to work with somebody who I think would be a great leader and could be exciting again. But again, that's very uncommon. That's not the common thing these days, whether you're working in a job, middle America, middle managers, they don't seem to really know how to lead anymore. I used to think that there were benchmarks and leadership qualities that you used to have to possess to lead a team. This is no longer the case. But like I told you, there was somebody for Gen X, and I'd like to see this guy come back or this type, and that's Iacocca. Now, let's take a little bit of a look at Lee Iacocca. So, this is Lee Iacocca's leadership summary. Now, I didn't do a huge, super deep dive on this. I did go to ChatGPT, but I did cross reference and validate that this was true. Lee Iacocca was the guy that brought Chrysler back from the dead, basically. And we all remember Gen X when he used to do those commercials, and we all knew Lee Iacocca. But what I didn't know is that Lee Iacocca he famously cut his own salary. Oh, let me go back. He famously cut his own salary to $1 that year until Chrysler recovered. $1. He took a $1. Who do you see in today's corporate landscape that would do something like this? This is the yesteryear. This is the class and the values and the way we used to live. This is the way people used to behave. Bring back the Lee Iacocca's. Now, I'm sure that it came with sacrifice and layoff, but he had to do it. This guy was facing bankruptcy and he turned the company around. Mark Zuckerberg's not facing any kind of bankruptcy. Neither is Accenture. Neither is Salesforce. Neither is Microsoft. None of these people are facing any kind of financial hardship that Lee Iacocca was facing, yet they're still laying people off. Again, where are the good leaders? It's really yesteryear, and I hate to say that, maybe it's nostalgia, but maybe it is nostalgia. I mean, we've just moved into a different space as people and what we think is okay and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm going to stop with the rant. I will move on, however, to more loser leaders that we have. Do you remember this loser is super cringe from about 3 or 4 years ago? The guy who laid everybody off on a Zoom call? Yeah, that loser. Let's take a look at that guy. All right. So you remember this loser? This is one of our cringe leaders. These are the tone deaf leaders that are corporate slop, cultural rot in America in October 2025. So watch this tool. Ready? Here we go.
It's been a really, really challenging decision to make. This is the second time in my career I'm doing this, and I do not. This time I did it, I cried. This time I hope to be stronger. If you're on this call, you are part of the unlucky group. Your employment here is terminated, effective immediately.
I've been in mortgage for almost 20 years. I've been through AmeriQuest layoff, Countrywide layoff, Capital One layoff. Nothing had ever gone like this. It had been so obtruse and so
So yeah, I mean, you guys get the picture. You heard the story. I'm sure you remember it. It went everywhere. But I mean, it's just another example of that we're just really being led by losers. We're being led by people who are morally bankrupt, or they're incompetent, or they really have no soul, no faith, no guiding principles of any kind. So yes, there are more layoffs. I'm going to continue to cover the stories, but I thought it really bothered me this week. And you know what? And I'll leave you with this. There's almost no way, if you're going to work for corporate America, to avoid this. There's really kind of almost no way to do that. But what you can do is start at the interview. If you are seeing in the interview process any kind of red flag, heed that warning, because it's not going to get better. And I'll give you an example. I was interviewing with a very famous company, may or may not have been mentioned on my channel a time or two. And I went on the interview with the hiring manager, and she could not have even bothered to pay attention to my answers to her questions. She was texting, her head was down, it was this, it was that. I almost stopped and said, in fact, I might have stopped and said, you know what, that's okay, I'll wait. Anyway, it's just heed the warning. That's where you can start if you're working for a terrible manager. But this is cultural rot. In today's playbook was the corporate America angle, our incompetent middle managers and senior leaders in this episode of, my channel. Anyway, if there's anything that I said that made you laugh in this video or resonated with you, I really love to hear about those moments. Where did it make sense? Where did I bring you value? I want to establish some new rules in my channel, and that is if you're watching my video, how do you not give me a subscribe or a like? Those are the new rules. If you're watching, you must subscribe, like, or leave a comment. Anyway, have a great Saturday, everybody.